But so there are a few of you real leftist radicals out there who will say that. But the majority of you will probably say, no. No, you're not. Well, hey, I guess we've already defined the word cracker because now we have the musician Uncle Kracker, right? Yeah, he's a white guy. So why not? But, the very notion that they're trying to redefine terms really shows you just how bad their position is, how weak their position is, how weak their argument is, that very few people will follow their argument and be on their side in the argument. So they have to change the meaning of stuff in order to win converts. So if religion no longer means, something based on faith, but rather something that is based on the human condition, well, that's something totally different now. So in other words, if you switch Catholicism from being based on faith in the Word, faith in the Bible, to being that based on the human condition. Oh, well, humans change, from century to century, from decade to decade, and now it's quite all right for homosexuality to be okay. Well, then that means that the Catholic Church would have to change on a whim. Well, that's not religion, but that's what they're trying to redefine it as. So as to not to upset anyone or to impose your belief on anyone. Forget the fact that they're imposing their belief on you. But that's what it is. So the landmark Supreme Court decision, you had Justice Roberts out there. You had Justice Roberts. Well, it was a 5-4 split decision, and Justice Anthony Kennedy was the swing vote in this, and he wrote the majority opinion. And he said, no union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than once they were. As some of the petitioners in these cases demonstrate, marriage embodies a love that may endure even past death. Now, it would misunderstand these men and women to say they disrespect the idea of marriage. Their plea is that they do respect it so deeply that they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. Now, I got to tell you, I don't know where the Constitution grants anybody the right to be married. Well, yeah, I suppose the clause of pursuit of happiness. But, I have often argued, well, the pursuit of happiness could be utilized and used in a number of different areas that government says that we don't have a right. Driving, for instance, the way our society has now been developed and the way it is built and the way governments build our cities and towns and rural areas, you have to have a car in order to be able to pursue your happiness because you've been restricted in many areas from riding a horse or a carriage. You just can't do it. So that means you have to have a vehicle or you have to walk. And sometimes walking is not plausible or possible. So you need a vehicle because that is the way the governments have built our society. So therefore, you need a car in order to pursue your happiness. Oh, no, but driving is a privilege. And who determined that? Oh, the government did. So now the government is determining what the Constitution says as far as marriage, which it really says nothing, but they're determining that the Constitution grants you the right to be married. Just so you know. Supreme Court just now said you have a constitutional right to be married. Now think about it for a second. You're probably thinking, oh, okay, well, that's not so bad. Well, now you have a constitutional right to pursue your happiness, to be not to be lonely, and not to be excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. You have a right to be married under the Constitution, which means you have a right to marry your horse, your dog, your pig, your cat, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your uncle, your first cousin. You have a right to marry more than one under the Constitution, according to Justice Anthony Kennedy. You have a right to be married to a child. I'm sure that the North American Man-Boy Love Association, also known as NAMBLA, is looking at this decision very closely and saying, well, if a 16-year-old boy wants to go out with a 30 or 40-year-old man, that should be all right then. And if he can get certain legal consultation, they can be married then. After all, if a 16-year-old straight kid can marry a 16-year-old straight girl, why can't a 16-year-old a gay boy marry a 40-year-old gay man? It's all right. All those teachers who are banging their students in high school, well, that's all right. Because, the way Justice Kennedy puts it, there should be hope that they're not condemned to live a life of loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They're only asking for equal dignity in the eyes of the law, and the Constitution grants them that equal dignity. Do you see where this is going to go? Not possibly going to go, or could go, but do you see where this is going to go? This is the direction that it is going to go. They have opened the Pandora's box. And let me tell you something, half of them, of the Supreme Court justices, are not going to be alive in about 10 or 15 years to have to deal with this mess. Not because somebody's going to kill them, it's just because they're old already. They're just going to die from natural causes. They're not going to be around to have to deal with this. The rest of us, many of us are still going to be here. We're going to have to live with all of this crap. And then you're going to start seeing more and more and more government laws and intrusion into your life, into your church, into your Bible, into your beliefs that are going to force you to change your belief system, at least in the public. And it may even get to the point where you can't even have a dissent in your own home. Don't doubt me on this, folks. Do not doubt me. This is not a decision that even the gay community should be applauding and jumping up and down for joy, because I can tell you right now that the majority of gays who are for gay marriage are not for all this other alternative lifestyle stuff. They're not. And this ruling is going to be used against them because they're going to find themselves on the receiving, because as the straight world, Christians and Jews were on the receiving end of the so-called bigotness and hatred accusations from the LGBT community. Well, now they're going to be included in that. And they're not going to like it. And you know what? When they try to fight back, they're just going to get slapped in the face. Well, hey, you guys got it. You guys got your rights protected. You guys got your rights. What about my rights? I want to be able to be married to my horse. I want to be able to marry my 16-year-old boyfriend. But you're a 50-year-old man, so we're in love. I'm just saying this is where it's going to go. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it is going to be, and it's going to be such a way that done in such a way that many people are going to feel, when in the hell did that take place? And we're going to look back to this day and say, this was not the starting point, but the leaping point. We had been crawling and walking to this point for a very long time, but once we got to this point, we leaped far ahead into areas that we did not really intend or want to go. But Justice Kennedy's words are going to come back to haunt the left. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. In other words, the Constitution grants them equal dignity in the eyes of the law. Now, I don't know where the Constitution really says anything about dignity. Now, when all Americans are treated as equal, we're all more free, is how President Obama responded to the news. Well, we're not all treated as equal. We're not. Now those who have strong religious beliefs, unless maybe you're Islamic, will be targeted. You will not be free to be, in your beliefs. But if you're Islamic, you might get away with it because, hey, they're a special group. They're special. And people think that Obama's views have evolved over time. I don't think his views have really evolved. I think he's always had these sort of views. He's just moderated them in order to be elected where he was trying to be elected. Hey, well, unless of course, he really is a Muslim, in which case, and then he's really at odds with himself right now. And it's not unplausible for him to be at odds with himself. However, Chief Justice Roberts decried the Supreme Court's decision to legalize gay marriage in a dissent that said the majority opinion had ignored the Constitution. Now, he says, celebrate the achievement of a desired goal, celebrate the opportunity for a new expression of commitment to a partner, celebrate the availability of new benefits, but do not celebrate the Constitution. It has nothing to do with it. And indeed, he is absolutely correct in that matter. He argued that the biggest problem with the court's decision is the disrespect it shows for the democratic process. He and other conservative justices said the issue of whether states should recognize gay marriage should be left to the states. But, you can go ahead and do things to keep Obamacare around instead of putting that in the hands of the state. But gay marriage should definitely be left in the hands of the state. Yes? Well, that according to Justice Roberts. Stupid is as stupid does, I guess. In this particular case, it really is stupid.